You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to the Successful Screenwriter Podcast, where we discuss anything and everything screenwriting. Here we interview successful screenwriters and filmmakers to find out just what it takes to make it in the industry. All right, welcome to the podcast. We have on Brian Austin and Scott Foster from ScriptHop. Thanks for being on, guys.
Hello, thanks for inviting us.
My pleasure.
Well, I like to reach out to new resources for screenwriters that they could take advantage of and try and find any kind of success they can. And so ScriptHop is something that I've found out about. It looks like a really cool thing. And I'd like to kind of get like the origin story from ScriptHop from you guys before we really dive into it.
Sure. So we actually started this idea back in 2014. And I got connected to Scott Foster through a mutual friend. I'm Brian Austin, the CEO, and my background is I'm a software developer and originally kind of worked in environmental software and then started just working with startup companies. Always been just a huge fan, film and television. And I came up with kind of an idea for Hollywood, and a mutual friend connected me to Scott, who was the head of the story department at UTA at the time, to help kind of vet and suss out the idea. And our idea at the time was an intelligent library management system for screenplays.
Okay.
For studios, agencies, production companies, anybody that really deals with libraries of scripts, because there really wasn't anything out there. Scott, I mean, you could talk about some of your experience with technology at that point.
It was a joke. Yeah, I was basically running the store department from Word documents, like literally, over a decade of screenplay records just in a Word document. Wow. And it started to go corrupt right as I took over the story department. That was fun.
Scary.
Yeah, so from there, we built this really awesome library tool, which we're going to be really pushing out next year. But in the process of building that tool, we kind of came across just an idea for something else that we thought was more important and a better initial domino for us to put out there. And that's the idea of the packet. And that's what we launched just a couple months ago. The idea of the packet is that you can, rather than just sending out a script as a PDF attached to an email, you can send out a ScriptHop packet link. And it's a way to bundle everything you need to market your screenplay all in one simple link. So we like to consider it, it's your script plus your vision. So when people click on that link, the recipient doesn't have to have any software. They don't have to have any accounts. Right. We aren't charging anybody any money for any of this. And so what happens is then the recipient, up comes their browser and they get to see what's called the packet. And it's a way to package your script and any additional documents. One of the benefits is anytime somebody clicks on your script to view it, they're always going to have the most recent revision of the script.
I got to unpack this a little bit now. So you said that ScriptHop is free?
It is free, yes.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That's an excellent resource. So is this more than just an interactive pitch deck?
It really is in the long-term vision of things. First off, it's the first interactive experience with a screenplay.
Script Magazine dubbed us the first interactive system for screenplays.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really cool. And so really it's more than just a website. It's as the system especially grows, it's creating an interactive experience around the script. So people, when they see the script, traditionalists can look at the script as everybody is used to it.
Yeah.
But we also allow people to not only create the story around the script as they kind of scroll down through the page. We have interactive things that kind of, you could attach a sizzle reel. We create this thing called a highlight reel, which allows people to kind of fade in and out imagery, dialogue samples, things like that.
Right.
Just everything to engage people to want to read the script. And then all throughout the system, we have, it sits on top of the script. So as you're reading the synopsis, if there's a particular point in a synopsis that's interesting, we allow the writer to put these things called entry points in there. So you can put a little icon embedded right in your synopsis. And when you click on that icon, you go right into the script, right to that page, right to that scene.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting way to review projects and excite people to read screenplays. And the more and more we're going to be adding to it, it's going to be able to people will attach music, people will be able to attach storyboards, imagery of characters, locations, things like that. But one of the great advantages of it over than people just creating like lookbooks or websites is that this is also a structured, it's a predictable format. So when an agent gets it and they want to find the synopsis, they don't have to wonder, hey, is this on page 15? Is it on 30? Of a giant lookbook? They know right where to find it.
Yeah.
And then everything about it is built to just kind of push the momentum of the project.
The way it's evolving, we really see as part of a writer's process. We like to sort of describe it as it's the cocktail napkin that your concept starts on, and it evolves into your film's website as the project is realized. It really covers all of it, and there's we're really hitting it off with the universities, and we're talking to people like Sundance and TIFF, and the ability to sort of reverse engineer your script. That, I learned in the story department so many things about how to look at your screenplay that I didn't learn in film school.
Yeah.
And so much of what I learned there is being applied to the packet, so that you look back at it. We did a beta with Webster University, and every to a man and woman, we got the feedback we got was, this is awesome, but made me realize I have to go back and revisit my screenplay. My characters are too thin, or whatnot.
Well, let me ask you that, Scott, because you're a screenwriter. So when it comes to the process of writing a screenplay, because ScriptHop is relatively new, right? It's just a few months old.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the process of writing the screenplay, do you feel that someone should write the screenplay right away and then go into ScriptHop? Or do you feel like they should begin the development process and then be touching base back and forth with ScriptHop as they're creating their script?
I think, the idea here is, the packet is something you'll start creating, that you start thinking about the marketing. I mean, it sounds like we're maybe taking some of the art out of it when I say that, think about the marketing, but it really isn't. I mean, you're the conceptualizing, as you conceptualize your script, you're packaging it in some way. You are automatic. And so this helps you do that.
One of the typical flows we see is, screenwriting is so much about rewriting.
Yes.
And so oftentimes we make a suggestion that, after you finish your first draft, that's a great time to load it into ScriptHop, because we wrote a really badass AI that can go through and read a script and help you build your packet right off the bat. It'll pull out all your characters. It will help you, build out highlight reels and things like that. It makes the job so much easier. And it seems that's a really good key point to use it to start kind of going back and looking at your story. And then when you finish your next version, you upload that to ScriptHop again, and it sees the differences and applies.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Helps you build it out. Yeah.
Instrumental in the rewrite. I like that.
We have a partnership with Final Draft, and we're going to explore some interesting things there, where as it's really starting, as the idea is forming, that packet is really getting fleshed out as you go.
I think it's great that you guys are rolling it out and continuing to develop it. You're not just dropping it and saying this is it. This is a process that's going to get better. It's going to improve over time. I love the fact that I got to get you on here early on in the process. This is great. So there was something I was looking at the site, and I saw this really great term you used, lookbook fatigue.
Yep.
I would like to explore that.
We in mostly it was in shopping our original product, the library. We talked with a lot of top agencies and studios, production companies, and I mean, there's a real push these days for writers to promote themselves. They're relying less and less on their agents, and they're feeling a need to promote themselves, and they're being told different pieces of advice. And one of them is, you got to have a lookbook, or you got to have a Bible.
Right.
And there's no real structure for that kind of thing. Everybody just kind of goes out. It's like creating a pitch deck for a business. Even there's no standardized for everybody to do it. And so the lookbook fatigue thing is, a lot of these lookbooks, and they might be 30 pages.
Oh, yeah. I've seen them up to 50.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And you're
for sure.
scrolling down. It's like, all right, I just want to know what's a synopsis here. And there's no continual format. And the people that are putting these together, it's a very stressful experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to now that you've gone through and written this script, you got to do a bunch more work and figure out, okay, how do I write a lookbook now? How do I format it? How do I make it look good?
This has all the depth of the lookbook, but you can navigate to a section and then dig deeper into what you want to know about the project.
You guys are like standardizing something that has no real set standards. I mean, you're creating like, this is what it should look like. And I went on there and I looked at sample copies, and it is really clean. It's intuitive, which I was surprising. I was going into going, this is going to be hard to follow. No, it's easy. You click right on it. You know where you want to go. You could almost, this is the part I found really interesting. You could almost rabbit hole yourself into a script, almost like a Reddit thread. Like you're just like, well, now I'm going to click on this thing. Oh, well, now I want to see who this actor is that they like. Well, okay, now I want to see who the other characters are. And the next thing you know, I'm looking at your sample script. I'm like 10 minutes into it, going, what's going on here? So yeah,
we use the word entice all the time. We're trying to entice people into reading your script. Jory White's the producer of like Napoleon Dynamite, a bunch of movies. He's a partner in a company, and he and I just constantly dealt with the frustrations that with all the content tsunami that's happening, because there's more content flowing than ever, but the way people read, the fact that they don't really read at all is often shocking to us.
Oh yeah.
And this is designed to draw people in, to really entice them into reading it. And there's sort of that packet facing view that I'm sure you saw. What I think is also going to be groundbreaking and really excite the experience is when you're reading the actual screenplay, the things that pop up off of the screenplay, like a gallery, like storyboards. We've designed that so if you don't want to see that, like when I first read a script, I might not want to, if I was trying to just analyze it, I don't have to see that stuff, but there's a little icon you can click on. If you're loving that script and you're like, it's a sci-fi, I want to see what this world looks like, you can click and see that. And
For the listeners though, that's a feature that's coming very soon.
Yes.
So don't that's something we're building right now. We're really iterating this thing quickly. We just kicked out a new release that we offered ability to put in a sizzle reel, and we're doing something that's kind of groundbreaking too. We're offering our services for free to review packets. So before people go out, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are somewhat unsure of how to market their script. Did they write a synopsis in the right kind of format? And so we allow a free feature. It's a one-click button. It goes to our staff that just reviews it. We don't read their script. We don't judge their story at all, but we just make sure that they did things by following the correct procedures. That when Hollywood gets the synopsis, they're not going to look at it and go, wow, this is just full of exposition or something that, is completely frowned upon. So we're really trying to help guide people along that. So that's one of the things we added. We're going to be, we're actually having an advisory board meeting group this weekend that we're really excited about. Lots of great people are going to be involved in this, and we're figuring out how to really tune the packet for television. So that's going to be the next big thing. Yeah, it's great right now for pushing like a pilot and things like that, but we're going to extend it to really be able to talk about the entire series and to do things like Bible does. And then after that, then we're going to be putting in all these really great media gallery type features, music, all that stuff to kind of stamp in. So for the next 4 to 5 months, you're going to be seeing a lot of improvement on the platform.
Well, let me ask you this, Brian, because this is really fascinating.
This podcast is brought to you by thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com, where you can find instructional books, videos, courses, and screenplays of Hollywood's biggest hits to download. As an added bonus, visit www.thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com to download the Guide for Every Screenwriter for free. Yes, free. Available exclusively at thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com. Now, back to our show.
You have the review option, which is great. I love that you offer that. Do you find your service eventually being able to offer to build everything around the script for the script?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We want to leave that creative voice to the writer, and yes, we can apply technology to help make their vision, to make them realize their vision more effectively and easily. That's where we see ScriptHop really coming into play. There might be services that are popping up that people can pay to help build a packet, just like you'd hire maybe somebody to write your
Right.
a resume or something.
Sure.
That'll be out there. We're not looking to make money off of that. We're really
Okay.
trying to stay away from any of the predatory practices you see, on kind of leveraged on screenwriters these days.
Yeah, very
We
good.
don't want to be a part of that.
So I did take a sneak peek at your board of advisors. You've got some names on there.
Mm-hmm.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, some Shane Black, Hilliard Guest, who's pretty fantastic. Brian Gunn. I mean, you guys have got you've got a heck, and so you regularly
Ed Solomon and David Hayter, and
it's amazing. So you meet with them regularly and kind of test ideas, come up with new ideas, and have like a brain trust. It looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true. Yeah, it's actually a really fun and diverse group that we have, both experientially and personality wise. But all of these people, the greatest thing about them is they really see the plight of the writer. We have several people that are hugely successful, like Shane Black, who remembers what it's like to be going out there and really still takes the writer in mind as to what's best for them and what can help them out. So we're being guided both morally, in a way, both morally by this group and also just experientially. We've got so many people that are like running some really great TV shows right now, and so a lot of really good knowledge is coming from that group.
If you look at our mission statement at the bottom of the website, we say, we're designing all this with sort of, the board is our ethics board.
Yeah.
So screenwriters can rest assured that, this is being directed by some of the best writers in the business.
I love that. And that they are helping you steer it towards really the goal here is to make this an industry standard.
Yeah.
Which I hope that happens for you, because it looks like a really cool thing.
Jim Hertzfeld of, wrote Meet the Parents. He's bringing all kinds of great ideas to us.
How much does coverage have to weigh in on this type of process?
I've done close to 5,000 of them. I basically was a reader for like 10 years.
Okay.
And before taking over running the store department, I did all things coverage. And it is an ironic thing in a lot of ways that it is the marketing for a writer basically that comes into an agent as a script comes into an agency. Readers write up the coverage, which basically serves as your marketing materials.
Yeah.
And for me, I was a reader who really cared. I really believed that 99% of the projects that came in there, people really believed in them. There were a few that somebody was trying to cash in on a trend or something, but largely to write, especially for like a feature, 120 pages, to spend that time doing that. So I would care, and but I only had about 40 minutes, 35 minutes to do your synopsis. And the idea here is you can take weeks, months, however long you want to craft that synopsis. Everybody, I did a blog post on our site that even Chris Nolan gets distilled. The idea is that even Christopher Nolan's getting coverage done of his work and those summaries done. And what we're getting at is the summaries, because we're not trying to touch the analysis that a script reader does. They're called script analysts, and I always sort of highlight that. No script analyst thinks of themselves as, I'm a script distiller. They don't want to do those summaries. They don't. That part of the coverage is not fun. And the idea is that we're by having the writer do that in the packet, it'll allow the reader more time to do the part that they really love to do, which is the analysis. And a lot of those readers, unfortunately, end up being interns who are, right out of school, who haven't necessarily read many scripts, and they're doing that coverage at 2 a.m. and it's not going to reflect your script in the best light. We want them to have the time at 2 a.m, if they're doing that, to spend that time at 2 a.m. just critiquing your work. And
we think the logistics of it are going to be that when a packet is sent to an agent, that link is what will be forwarded on to the story department.
Yeah.
And that, they're creating, it's usually a Word document. They have all these kind of templates, and they type in their log line, they type in their synopsis. They're spending 2 or 3 minutes to write up your log line, but we would rather allow the writer to be having their vision continue on. So when they get the packet, they'll simply be able to mark and copy the log line and synopsis from the packet and paste it right into their materials.
Very good.
And here's the groundbreaking part. This is what I was circling back to Jim Hertzfeld in comedy was, as an example, if you're doing a synopsis of comedy, even if you are doing the best version of a synopsis ever on a comedy script, it's hard to make a synopsis laugh out loud funny. Like, I can't think of one that I was busting the gut reading the synopsis. But if you use our entry points, you can dive right in. We always use Seinfeld as an example. If the pilot was there trying to get a table in a Chinese restaurant, I guess if you read that in a synopsis, it wouldn't be funny. But you can dive right into the script and read it from the synopsis. That little entry point is a little portal.
Yeah, that's
cool.
It
takes you right in. You're getting that flavor. Also, if you look at the experience, the way the packet does it, you have the character sidebar. The character descriptions slide out as you're looking at the synopsis. As you read the synopsis, you can click on a character's name, and that character description sidebar slides out. So it might be a comedy like Meet the Parents, or it might be some thriller. A thriller synopsis is just going to be a description of this happens, this happens, this happens. But with that character sidebar, you can get a sense of who the character is as well. It's this
really
great navigational.
Yeah, and it's pretty fluid and easy to use with the interactive entry points. That sounds like hot links to me. One thing I think I read is that you can track it right from the writer's end. So if I send Scott Foster my script through ScriptHop and you start reading it, I can see if you've opened it. I can see if you've actually read it. I mean, how far does that tracking go? Can I see if he's read the log line? Can I see if he got into the script?
First off, we don't actually hand out names. We like to make sure there's a certain level of privacy.
No, I understand
for the
that.
reader.
Yeah.
But yeah, as the writer, you can see, who clicked, or not who, but you can see when your link was clicked on. And, when you send out a PDF today, you don't know if somebody even read the email.
Exactly.
That doesn't happen. So at least when somebody clicks the link, you get a notification that, all right, somebody has jumped into your packet. We also track and notify that somebody has chosen to open and read your script. Somebody has chosen to download your PDF of the script. We tell people when people dive in to learn more about the writer. If you click on the writer's name, you come their bio and everything. So we let people know how many people are doing that. Going into an extended version of the synopsis, and that's just what we do today. But in the future, we're going to be able to kind of start analyzing how people are reading the scripts, and we can start giving more information back to the writer, saying, most people are bailing around page 30.
That would be amazing to get feedback like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
exactly.
really find out where you're losing somebody. Mm-hmm. And if you're able to take that into the logline or synopsis, I think that would really help as well too, because then you're like, well, they didn't even like your logline, they bailed on that. So fascinating stuff, guys. This is great. So Thanks. What else? I mean, we've talked about the future of ScriptHop. We've talked about the past of it. We've talked about what's going on right now. Is there anything that I'm missing?
Trying to spread the word about ScriptHop. In these days with COVID and the election and everything, it's really hard to get people's attention. So, we're just trying to get the word out there. And as people are using it, we're learning from their behaviors and making the system better.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of things that we're currently working on in play that I think we're going to have some really cool announcements coming up over the next 6 months that are going to kind of blow some people away as well.
I was just thinking that there's so many features. I'm sure, we're going to be forgetting today to even mention some of the awesomest stuff about the packet, but there are things down the road that we want to do, like even adding audio files. Shane Black really responded to the idea that, he could go into one of his projects, for a certain sequence, he could talk about how he wants this to go down with the production team,
Oh, interesting.
You could envision a director putting notes in for actors. There's all kinds of things. And notes is going to be a big part of this, both written and this idea of audio files. It's been fascinating, like in terms of feedback, like one of the things we get a lot is people want to add music, which is, it's just funny how everybody has their preferences. For me as a reader, I was like, why am I going to care about your set list for your music? But I find it awesome that people, that is something that is inspiring to people that they want to add to the packet. So I'm going to be really intrigued about how we, implement that. So,
yeah. I think that's cool. I think the idea of visuals is great. Being able to show the world building that you're trying to create, especially in something like a sci-fi or a genre horror, could really take that to the next level, especially on indie stuff.
Oh, that you just reminded me of something that is important. Another really cool feature, because one of the most frustrating things for me at UTA was I'm witnessing people are making the cut, so to speak. They're getting in, their projects are starting to move. There's some heat on them. And the frustrating part was watching them die on the vine. That projects have heat for a couple weeks to a month, and then they're just a title and nobody even remembers what they were about. And that was so frustrating. We're developing all kinds of tools and features that are going to keep the momentum building on projects. One example is people can subscribe to your project, to your packets. So they could click on, notify me when you attach talent. And so if you have an indie project and you attached somebody like, say, John Leguizamo, they would get an alert. Oh, he attached John Leguizamo. And they suddenly,
cool.
Suddenly an agent who was only kind of half about this project. Now I want to know more about it. And these are some of the things that we're developing that we want to create momentum, keep the engine running.
Very good. I love it. Yeah, you guys really are keeping the writer in mind. I think that's absolutely beautiful. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share in your social media, where you can tag us at The Successful Screenwriter.